I know that you've all been occupied over the last few weeks with the decisions you have to make on May the 24th as to who you will entrust to manage the affairs of our country for the next 4 years. I also know from the hundreds of people that I've met and those who have reached out to me that the consensus is that the Progressives have done an outstanding job under difficult circumstances over the last 4 years. You have heard from this platform during the course of the campaign that we are now in a position to implement a wide-ranging and effective social program in response to the social issues that our country faces. That is the reason we are with you here tonight, to present our plan of action for the coming 4 years. This is not, however, ladies and gentlemen, the time to throw caution to the wind. The same careful management of the economy and government finances is still required. The same vigorous approach to growing our tourism and financial services sector is still required. Now more than ever, you need a steady hand at the wheel if you want to capitalize on the gains we have made as a country over the last 4 years.
I want to take you back 4 years. 2013 Manifesto. Towards a better tomorrow. Getting back on course. There are members here that are serving right now that sat down with quite a few of the ones that are here that are running new. And the Premier will tell you that before the last election, to be bold enough to sit down and chart the course that is in this manifesto took a lot of courage. We were challenged to develop a 4-year plan to get our finances back in order. We were challenged to take care of our pillars, finance and tourism. We were challenged with our industries to grow revenue, because everybody here tonight knows that if the government is not able to grow revenue, you don't fund education, you don't fund health and wellness, you don't fund your social programs, and you're not able to give a hand up, and you don't create new jobs and opportunity for the people of the Cayman Islands. No one can question that this government has not delivered. Kudos. But this was only phase 1, and I'm sure everybody here has looked at it, and as you look through and ticked off what was said and how it was done, you realize that you're waiting on phase 2. Well, tonight, 2017 Manifesto is here, and that, my friends, is phase 2. In this, as you take your time and read through it, you will see that it clearly outlines what we have built the foundation to be able to provide for this country. Just as you build your house, you have to build a solid foundation, which is what we have done for the last 4 years to form the platform to put phase 2 on to create a better Cayman Islands. It outlines education. It outlines immigration. It outlines jobs. It outlines strengthening the economy even more. Healthcare, police, each one, as you go through the pages, you'll see, and you'll have special interests that you'll see have been touched on and explained of how they fit together in a plan, a business plan of how it builds a country and prepares it to continue the successes it's had.
Education is not a privilege. It is the right of every child in the Cayman Islands. It has no color and no race. It is for our children, and it is for us as a community on the whole. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." No truer words have ever been said. Education is the foundation of any society. It is the key to everything we do in life. It is an investment, the most crucial investment that we can make in our people. It is the currency by which countries maintain economic competitiveness and global prosperity. No different here in Cayman. We cannot afford to waste the talents of our children, the talents of our future generations. The Progressives, along with Minister Tara Rivers, has worked to improve education over the last 4 years, and much has been done. But we recognize that there is more work to be done in this area. We need to teach our children to think, to be critical thinkers at this crucial stage in the Cayman Islands. Children must be able to interact in their learning experience and express themselves. We make this pledge to you this evening. Within 4 years, at least 75% of high school graduates will all move on to post-secondary education, either in academic degree programs or training in vocational trades locally or overseas. How will we do this? Address the issue of segregation that we keep hearing about in our public schools that was caused by lack of infrastructure. Cayman is a diverse society. Diversity is our cultural heritage. We must, as Caymanians, work together with those persons who join us to make Cayman their home. This mix of students existed when I went through the public school system. It worked then, and it will work now. As children, we learn from each other. And in many instances, as adults, we should be listening to our children because they can teach us a whole lot of things. So Cayman, we must work to break down the walls between Caymanians and those who come to help us build these islands. We must work for our children. Assessment must guide our teaching. We must know our children to be able to assist them. Each child is an individual. From the time a child starts school, and perhaps even before, we must have policies in place to be able to assess them according to their abilities. To do this, we need to apply the appropriate resources, the right teachers, trained support staff, and parental involvement is absolute key. Individualized early education will help to prepare our children for success when they reach the high school. You know, Cayman is a major financial center. The world looks to us to lead in that industry, to create many products. We are the jewel of the Caribbean. That's right, we are the jewel of the Caribbean. We must therefore ensure that our children are equipped to take their rightful places in not only the Cayman economy, but the global economy. You know, as my colleagues have said, we hear a lot about change during this election, whatever that means for the others. But you know what? The change must come from us, the people. We have a role to play. We must work together for the future of our children. And we must get over the idea that helping our children by early assessment will attach a negative stigma to that child. These are our children. Pride has no place here unless it is pride in our children. Cayman education must never, ever be stagnant. As a society, we must recognize that education is not just something that happens in a classroom. Learning is constant, and we must always encourage our children and our people in general. So what will we do? We're going to make a greater investment in education for all our children, including our children with special needs and disabilities. And last but not least, we are going to support the parents. Parents, we hear you. We know you are good parents out there, and I'm tired of hearing people say the parents aren't getting it done. I know the parents are getting it done. You know why? I am meeting you in Bordentown West, and I know you're getting it done. Let's hear the horns for the parents of Cayman. Children with behavioral issues, they're not bad. Or those needing specialist learning need to be identified early. For example, we hear about children suffering from dyslexia. Such children need the right environment and teaching methods. They can learn, we just need to teach them in the right way. We must therefore have the programs in place to help them, and again, their parents to help them at home. We must also be mindful of students that are gifted. Never hold them back because of age or circumstance. We must always encourage them. You know, Cayman is quite an amazing society. And we hear a lot of bad, but man, look around. There's a whole lot of good. Look where you are tonight. Crucially, we must always, always listen to our children. They have a voice, as I said before, and in many instances, I have 2 little girls, 11 and 7, and they are constantly teaching me new things each day. Open your ears and listen, Cayman. You're going to learn a lot from your kids. For those at home, I'm just going to say, I think Radio Cayman's probably going to go through a break at 10 o'clock, but we'll come back on afterwards. Is that right, Joey? Yeah. Yes, the news break at 10. What else are we going to do? We're going to improve the ability of teachers to succeed with every child by having smaller teacher-to-student ratio in the schools. We will expand the use of technology as a tool to assist with teaching and learning. You know, all of our children cannot be accountants and lawyers. How many times have we heard that? Yes, I'm the lawyer, bad me. But we must ensure our children achieve literacy and numeracy, English and math. We will achieve higher standards in those areas by advancing the education plan that this government has put in place, the 2016-2017 plan. The plan of action seeks to build on the strengths of the education system and to address the issues identified in the system. It is focused on the priority areas of literacy, numeracy, science, special education needs and disabilities, positive school climates, and technical vocational education training, otherwise known as TVET. School principals and teaching staff must be accountable for the performance of our children in the schools. The leadership of our schools must never, ever be out of touch with our children and our schools. It is our children every day that go through that system. We must understand what it is. We must and will play an integral part in this process. This means when you return us to office, come May 24th, whoever is that Minister of Education must be on the ground in every school in the Cayman Islands. You know, this government has implemented quite a few things in that TVET, that technical vocational area, offerings at CIFEC, the Cayman Islands Further Education Center, as well as the various high schools. Over 20 courses in hospitality. And why aren't you tooting your own horns? Right, Cayman? Why aren't we tooting our horns? Over 20 courses in hospitality, hair and beauty, creative media, automotive, construction, art and design, and information technology. And they say we don't have technical courses available to our people. Where are we sleeping? Our high school students And we're going to continue and increase these. We'll have a range of academic and vocational education options, including introductory courses that cover entrepreneurship, as well as vocations such as automotive, culinary, music recording, and hospitality. This will help students determine how best to plot their future, their course for post-secondary education, whether taking advantages of courses locally or overseas. We must equip our schools to support and encourage high school students interested in the technical and vocational areas. And scholarships must be available to them, and we will ensure that they are. The scholarships that they will attain to ensure they move forward in their lives. And any qualification that we put in place in the Cayman Islands will be internationally recognizable. You know, there's some incredibly amazing young people in Bordentown West and Cayman in general. And Oz, I'm sorry, I'm going to steal your thunder for 2 seconds here. Only for 2. Young people on the roads riding their bikes. They're not bad. They are children. They deserve more than risking their lives and the lives of other people because of their talent. These young people, young men and young women, are truly an inspiration. And they just need the support and the resources to help them reach their potential. And we will help them. You know, some of these young people are so incredibly talented, they can take the bike apart, take the car apart, and put it back together. They ought to be teaching these technical and vocational studies in the Cayman Islands. And you know what, Bordentown West, as I've already told you, I'm putting you to work because this is what you want to do. You have that talent to share with the Caymanians, your people, and everyone else who comes here. You know, a lot of these courses were also at UCCI years ago when I went through the system. We had the hospitality school. We had the automotive. Unfortunately, they fell by the wayside. But you know, these courses are not just for young people. They're for all of us, Cayman, and we must take advantage of these opportunities. If you're wanting to retool, to get into another area, a trade, whatever it might be, we cannot keep talking about where are the opportunities when we do not take them up. We must be active and participate in our own lives. I don't want to go on too much longer. We're running out of time a bit. So I'm going to say this to you. Our children need truth and hope. It is our responsibility to encourage them to achieve. This takes commitment from the child, the parent, the community, the government, from all of us. I value each one of you here and those listening at home. We must have a vision for these islands. One that will take us forward as a people together, not separated, together. And our children are our future. They are a crucial part of us moving forward. To our young people, you are more important than you know. Be who you are. That is your right. You have a role to play. But do not, please do not take anything for granted. This right has to be earned every day. But we must all have hope. If we work hard enough and believe in ourselves, we can be whatever we dream, regardless of circumstance or limitations that others may place on us. Let us work together for the betterment of Cayman, our people, our children, and these islands.
Training and education are key. I would like to see more funds for student loans and scholarships. Creative initiatives like the new public-private partnership in education are also very exciting and bringing some very positive and far-reaching results.
The next Progressives government will be committed to achieving full employment for Caymanians. The Cayman success story has been built on the ability of businesses to not only hire and train Caymanians, but also to bring in guest workers to ensure that we have sufficient human resources to grow our economy. But in a growing economy with over 24,000 work permits, there should be no Caymanian who is qualified for a job and willing to work, but is unable to find suitable employment within a reasonable time. Cayman and Caymanians must have a fair chance to share in the benefits of a growing economy. Far too often, our people have complained to us about some of the excuses that they've experienced. Some of those excuses include not enough experience, overqualified, and it's a work permit renewal, so we can't hire you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have full employment for Caymanians by doing the following. We will continue the careful management of the economy so that businesses can continue to grow and create jobs and opportunities for Caymanians. We will support the growth and the success of small businesses for Caymanians to become entrepreneurs and also to hire Caymanians and other nationalities. We will complete the infrastructure projects such as the Owen Roberts International Airport, the John Gray High School, the road networks that we are building as part of the revitalization of Georgetown Central, as well as Georgetown Central in particular. These projects, ladies and gentlemen, will provide construction jobs, as well as support the growth of businesses within the Cayman Islands generally. We will continue to diversify our economy by encouraging growth in health tourism, sports tourism, the maritime park, the creative arts, and renewable energy in order to create more jobs and opportunities for Caymanians. We will also expand the Ready to Work program to assist more Caymanians to obtain and retain jobs. It is important that we actively assist Caymanians, and I'm speaking about the young ones in particular, to get jobs and to keep those jobs. We will also develop partnerships with businesses to create more apprenticeships and training programs to teach skills and build work experiences that lead to full employment and full-time jobs for Caymanians. We will also grow the hospitality school, the hospitality training school that is, and the nursing school to provide more Caymanians with opportunities in these sectors.
I will work with the progressives to increase policing with a focus on trouble areas. The progressives government will take a tougher stance on crime and tackle gang activity and gun crimes head on and increase the public reassurance regarding safety.
We had a recent visit by a Trinidadian economist from Royal Bank who said, after she looked at the Cayman economy, that we are the envy of the Caribbean and the rest of the islands would do well to come and learn from Cayman.
In May of 2013, we took over the government as we had the majority. And immediately we discovered that the budget that we had to prepare for 13-14, it started off that the UK wanted that budget, the operational budget, to be $25 million less than the year before. But after some intense negotiations with the Minister of Finance and Minister of Financial Services and the Premier and the UK, got it down to 15 million. So the first year that we have been in office during this term, our operational budget had to be cut by $15 million from the previous one. The next year after that, it had to be cut another $15 million from the previous one. The next year after that, once more, it had to be cut. So the first 3 years that we created a budget of this term, it had to be that much less. Alongside of that, no borrowing. Coupled with all of that, we still had to wriggle our way to be able to at least provide the same level of services for the people of the country. On top of all of that, civil servants had been stagnated pay-wise for years. We had to deal with that to give them their cost of living adjustment. We also had to deal with the fact that some civil servants had stayed at the same point in their grade for 7 years or more, which was not fair. So we had to deal with all of that. And we did. No borrowing. Plus, on top of that, we have paid down from a debt of $575 million when we started. By the end of this year, we will have paid down $125 million of the debt, and our debt will be $450 million. Plus, we've created surpluses. And now, while they say, what are you doing with the surpluses, that you have realized, even after you dropped the duty on fuel for CUC so that our light bills could go down, and some more things. We dropped the duty on goods coming into the country from 22% to 20%. And after all of that, our plan is that there is a bullet bond which is part of that $450 million debt, which is $312 million US. It was a 10-year bond borrowed in late 2009. And the way and the reason why they call it a bullet bond, folks, is because over that 10-year period, you could only pay on the interest. So by 2019, when it comes due, the country will have paid more than $180 million in interest charges on that bullet bond, and the country is going to have to find the money to pay $312 million US to pay it off. But here's the good part about that. Our plan from the beginning to 2019 allows us to pay that off without borrowing. And it means at that point in time, while we continue to pay down our debt, that we will probably owe no more than $100 million. Starting off from $575 million, no borrowing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all I'm telling you are the facts. No Barney story or anything like that. These are facts which can be verified any which way you choose to do so. I want to ask you tonight, after all the hoopla is going on, tell me, would you want to change the course the country is headed in, Would you want to change that and gamble it in the hands of someone else? I say no, folks. Please tell me no, otherwise I'm going to cry.
We talked about what we needed to do and how we wanted to look at a sustainable economy for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. And we identified the #1 need to take us to the next step was improved airlift. The improved airlift had to start with an improved air terminal. We know that within the first year after the last election, working together, that the airport was completed. It was put into a situation approved by the United States Homeland Security that the continuation of U.S. flights could come into Cayman Brac, and it could also be used as the secondary airport for Grand Cayman, which Southwest has now identified and helps them in how they come to Grand Cayman. It also allowed us to bring more flights in and to create more jobs. It is a small example of how working together and using the assets that you have available turn into public sector jobs driven by private sector. And when you put the numbers together, you see 30+ jobs that have been created by Cayman Airways, back office jobs in a call center that Cayman Airways has opened here in Cayman Brac. You also have fireman jobs that were provided, and the nucleus of the airport completed, and the airlift with the new seats put in increased 18% in the last 2 years, an increase of 18% arrival numbers in 2 years. I think you can see that through the community and the tourism industry. And it continues to give us opportunity to build that, because as the economies of the world change, you have to understand that people come in different ways. Vacation rental by owner, Airbnb, inexpensive to advertise now to bring people here. One of the properties that is the most heavily booked is the McMurdy property in Spot Bay. But you can see it spread throughout the island of the properties that are coming on board and using these assets to bring more people here, and more arrivals come in, and it creates more jobs. And we certainly see the Water Authority heading east. Go east, young man. And they continue to go east, and they will get there. We already know there's a reservoir platform that's been put in the center of the bluff by Aston Ruddy to continue water throughout, pipe water throughout the islands. And you continue on what we've tried to do with the capital projects. We have not used the money in an unwise way. Minister Archer, it's been spent frugally. I know you like that. And I think you can also see as you drive around the benefits from it and the benefits that are going to come through phase 2. And I give you the example. We built a FIFA-certified football field. In 2 weeks, we're going to have Cuba, the Bahamas, Jamaica, and Honduras here playing on that field. But we also have it every day for the youth in our community to use and be guided by a sports team that teaches them. And if you look at the quality of individuals that these young people turn into, and the program that is guided by the people here, Mitchum Sanford, and a new group that he's brought along, all you can do is be proud when you see the successes that they've had. The swimming pool that we broke ground on last week is $1.8 million. And it's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to give a quality of life to the young people and the elderly on this island. And it's also going to allow us to exchange sports tourism, because as the swim teams come, they make lifelong friends and they understand how nice Cayman Brac really is. So that is a phase 1 that turns into a phase 2. The multipurpose hall, in the next few weeks, you'll see that start to completion. The project has a $2 million capital budget to complete what's there, with the business case being looked at for how it will be turned in and used for a school, using it in the right way as an asset.
I would also like to update you and the country at large about a subject matter that is near and dear to my heart. One that I have been working on for the past 2.5 years. You heard about it a little bit just a few minutes ago. Let's talk about the landfill. I'll share with you tonight what I know and what we have done and are about to do to address the issues surrounding it. It is a subject that is vital concern to every person in Georgetown and indeed the wider Cayman Islands. And I've heard it consistently. There is much misinformation out there. And tonight, it's time for me to help set the record straight. So we say we want to talk about trash. You want to listen to it? You want to talk about trash? Let's talk trash. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, the Progressives government approved a national solid waste management system for the Cayman. It identifies the important steps and actions that will be taken to deliver the solid waste management solution. The main objective of this plan is to have a national system in place that will incorporate the waste hierarchy that first focuses on waste reduction and then examines each subsequent option before we dispose in a landfill. It includes the reduction of waste, the reuse, the recycling, and an important element, the recovery through the use of long energy, where energy is recovered from the waste as it is destroyed. And then finally, disposal in a landfill being the last resort. Our project includes the following elements with the goal of actually reducing what goes into the landfill by 95%. It includes waste reduction measures, including a very robust waste education program, with pragmatic waste minimization initiatives such as home composting being one example. It includes community recycling depots and household waste recycling centers, composting of yard and garden waste from landscapers and households, the treatment of the residual waste in a state-of-the-art waste recovery plant or a waste-to-energy plant facility. And then finally, the closure and remediation of the Georgetown landfill and construction of an adjacent and much smaller engineered landfill to handle the residual stuff that will come out of the waste-to-energy plant. Ladies and gentlemen, our opposition will tell you and say that we are doing nothing. But I want to assure you that we have not been sitting idly by. We are in the final stages of procuring the waste-to-energy plant. It will be a public-private partnership with a successful bidder being awarded a contract to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the facility, with an emphasis on providing significant employment opportunities for Caymanians. And did I mention it will include a significant component of a national education campaign. But in the meantime, we have not been sitting idly by. Lots of good things been done at the landfill over the last 3 years. These include the purchase of much needed equipment to ensure that we can and we do deliver a very reliable collection service, and that we actively manage the landfill in a way that its fires and offensive odors no longer plague us. When last have you seen and heard of a fire at the landfill? When last have you had those offensive odors? It just doesn't happen anymore. Recycling of the post-Ivan mound of tires, it's well underway, taking place as we speak. Voluntary recycling of aluminum, plastic, glass, electronics, and cardboard is ongoing. And we are now diverting many tons of waste from the landfill, crushing it, compacting it, and shipping it off to facilities overseas. It also includes the purchase of land with which we are going to house the waste-to-energy plant that will feed into our electricity grid. Now, clearly, ladies and gentlemen, what I've described to you is an indication that much is being done, and it is ongoing. I don't want you, please, don't believe the opposition and the media rants that you hear that nothing is being done. You can see and you can smell the results. But I want to caution you, just let you all know, this is a big project. The capital cost of getting that waste-to-energy plant up is over $100 million. And ladies and gentlemen, the Public Management and Finance Law provides for a very robust evaluation project for projects like this. It is important that we take the time to get it right. Because if we fail to do so, it could and it will be disastrous for the country. We cannot afford to get it wrong. But enough trash talk. Let's move on to other things. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I can tell you that in the next Progressives government, Caymanians will have access to better care by introducing reforms of the health insurance market to ensure everyone can access appropriate coverage at a fair price. Over the course of this evening, as we roll out our manifesto, you will hear from several of our candidates of our plans for the next 4 years. As you listen, I want you to remember the burdens we had to overcome and get here, and how much fiscal discipline and restraint it took in order for us to be able to stand here this evening and make promises to build a better Cayman for all. The foundations we have built and the efficiencies we have found will propel us forward and provide a better life for all Caymanians. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I thank God that we had a team that worked so closely together. No squabbling, just results. You see, when you have a group that understands economics and finance, we know that if you find yourself in a hole, you stop digging. The only sensible way to climb out is to climb out slowly, or you fill the hole. We did both. We crawled our way out and we filled the hole behind us. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we can tell you with confidence, investor confidence is back and unemployment is down. Is there anybody here tonight who really believes that the country isn't better off now than it was 4 years ago? No. I have seen over the past 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, firsthand how good governance, teamwork, and a supportive civil service can work together to restore fiscal health in a relatively short time. By so doing, we are now poised to make investments and improvements to our health services. We recognize that the current system of accessing health care needs reform. And while the good people of the HSA provide a quality service to the country, it is an undeniable fact that health care costs, including tertiary health care, continue to rise. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2016, our government spent some $105 million, or about 20% of this nation's budget, on health care. Private sector insurance providers often treat our senior citizens or those with long-term illnesses or disabilities unfairly. either by charging them exorbitant premiums that they cannot afford, or they're simply denied coverage altogether. We cannot therefore mention health without insurance. And to this end, we have plans to increase the public's current options by allowing Synico to offer other insurance products. We will make sure that Synico is properly and adequately capitalized to allow these changes. And what it's going to do for the country is it's going to create a more level and competitive playing field. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, insurance has little value if Caymanians cannot access appropriate coverage at a fair price. And our plan is to address this and to increase the quality of care with our objective to achieve the following things. Continue to focus on the prevention of serious health issues through public education and encouraging healthy lifestyles amongst our citizens. It is widely known that the biggest contributor to the rising cost of health insurance premiums and health care is the frequency with which we access these services. If we can educate patients and our people and help them to develop healthy lifestyles, we can and will see significant declines in the cost of health care and insurance premiums. This is why we will continue to support and expand the K-Health program at the HSA that has been in existence now for several years as it seeks to do just that. Secondly, we will examine options available to ensure that senior citizens are able to access affordable health insurance coverage after they retire. This is the time they are most in need of comprehensive and affordable health care and health insurance. Yet more often than not, it is not available to them. And to that end, we will seek to introduce a new health insurance product that is more closely aligned to the needs of an elderly population. Third, we will ensure that no one is denied insurance coverage due to pre-existing conditions. And finally, we will utilize government's new procurement systems, such as reverse auctions, that provide access to the best possible pricing on drugs and new medical equipment. These savings will be passed on to the public so that what they pay is the lowest possible price. In 2016, ladies and gentlemen, we introduced a new procurement law, and already government is seeing significant cost savings from the ability to use more modern and competitive bidding processes that are fairer, more transparent to purchase goods and services. We consider good health care not only a priority, but a vital national asset. We are home to a world-class facility, Health City, that provides exemplary tertiary health care at reasonable costs, and as tertiary overseas health care costs spiral out of control, we must do more to ensure that all Caymanians can access these services that are available on the island. And we will negotiate with Health City to provide care to Caymanians with serious illnesses and reduce costs of having to travel overseas and pay those overseas prices. When a loved one is sick, we want to be close by. We also have plans to engage a private sector partner to work with government with the goal of reforming and overhauling the HSA so that there can be both better outcomes and lower costs in our health care. Now, for those of you who think that the US has Obamacare and we have I don't care, nothing could be further from the truth. Another case in point is our commitment to mental health. For too long, we have looked the other way when it comes to Caymanians suffering with mental health issues. These are not those people. These are our brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers, our sons and our daughters. And we will no longer relegate them, or less fortunate to life on the streets and to be misunderstood by all. This government is well down the path of delivering on a new mental health facility for our people, and preliminary design work has already begun. Many larger countries have done away with mental health coverage due to high costs, but we think Caymanians deserve better, and we will construct a much-needed facility so that all Caymanians so afflicted can have the proper care, the dignity, and ease the burden that some of their families face, struggling to accommodate their loved ones.
And ladies and gentlemen, this one, I want you to listen to carefully. Because of numerous complaints received from our Caymanian people, a Progressives government will arrange for an independent review of the role that employment agencies play in the local job market and determine we will arrange for an independent review of the role that employment agencies play in the local job market and determine if there are unfair practices against Caymanian employment that needs to be addressed. This is not anti-business. This is not unfriendly to non-Caymanian workers. This is simply ensuring that Caymanians who are seeking employment, Caymanians who are qualified, Caymanians who are experienced, Caymanians who have clean police records, Caymanians who have a right to a job in their own country are given a fair chance. This is not anti-anyone else. We will also complete the work we started in this term. That is to create an online searchable database that is called the National Jobs Clearinghouse, where all jobs will be registered and vacancies advertised. We believe that this is the only way to ensure that jobs are made available to Caymanians and that Caymanians are aware of the jobs, that they can apply for them before the advert is placed overseas and someone is chosen. And then by the time the Caymanian becomes aware that the job is available, the work permit process has already been completed. We will also create a human resources authority, which will be responsible for all employment matters, including the granting of work permits. We will transfer those employees or civil servants within the Immigration Department who are currently responsible for the granting of work permits. We will transfer them to the Human Resources Authority. And the Immigration Department will retain responsibility for the granting of Cayman status and permanent residence applications, or dealing with the applications. And border control, which is their primary responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to tell you that there will be better monitoring and enforcement of employment standards and compliance with work permit requirements, especially in the construction industry. We are told on a regular basis that Caymanians cannot find jobs in the construction industry. there is something wrong. When we look at the statistics, when we look at the physical structures, and you see all that's happening, and you ask yourself, why is it that the Caymanians cannot find jobs in an industry that is booming? Also, with respect to immigration regulations that relate to the advertising of jobs, those regulations will be amended to close the loopholes that will allow for fairer job opportunities for Caymanians who are seeking jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, there are certain things that the work permit applicant will now have to comply with before the work permit will be granted, such as stating on whose behalf the advertisement is being placed. Many times you see an advert that says, this job is available, apply to this address, and you have no clue as to who it is that is offering the job. So therefore, you know not to whom the work permit is granted when you are denied the job. So we will require that the employer's name be included in the job application, in the job advert that's placed on the website. Also, ladies and gentlemen, there are other things that will have to be complied with before the work permit is granted. This is not anti-business, this is pro-Caymanian employment. Neither is it protectionist. It is simply ensuring that the Caymanians who are willing, able, qualified, experienced, and of good character and good work ethic are no longer denied the opportunity to earn a living in their own country. And ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, we will look to deal with more apprenticeships for the young people. For the middle age, some of the things I just mentioned will also take care of them. But we are looking at employment across the full spectrum.
It is important, ladies and gentlemen, that this administration continues for the development of our youth, because we have shown that we have cared and ever respect for our young people. There's so much that happens in relation to our youth from government side that people really, ordinary people on a day-to-day basis, don't have a clue of the support that government gives the youth organizations in this country. I will name out church groups, many youth groups, Scouts, Girls Brigade, Duke of Edinburgh, Junior Achievement, Mentoring Cayman, sporting associations, football clubs, and other activities, for instance, like Rising Stars, the skate park right here behind me, and the YMCA, just to name a few of the entities that this government and my ministry in particular supports. We will be updating our national youth policy, which underpins all of the work that we do for our young people. This is done through our National Youth Council, chaired by Reverend Myers at the moment. And it was last updated, it was created in 2000, updated, started in 2010, finished in 2011. So it is 6 years into the new policy, as it were. And during this term, we will look to do that again, because it is important that these policies are renewed on a timely basis. You heard about a lot that Maxine had to say concerning education. And a lot of it was to do with vocational studies and the need for it. There is one area that she did not mention, and that is very important in my mind, vocational studies in the construction industry. It underpins our economy in many ways. And when you look at the amount of permits that we have in the construction industry for masons, carpenters, tilers, electricians, plumbers, to name a few, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very lucrative employment area. There are thousands of permits in that area. It's an area that I certainly, as a progressive government member, will be pushing for us to have apprenticeship programs and to have school programs in relation to that. You see, my vision, and I'm no education specialist, but I believe it is very important that we identify and we integrate into our school system the whole notion of civics, and not just civics, but taking it to where when a school child graduates, they have been trained in such a way that the school system is not just producing a child that has so many passes in X, Y, Z. School system should be producing a rounded individual, an individual that knows from then how to walk into an interview. Even if he doesn't go on to college, he can go in and stand up and present him or herself for a job and take that job because of their presentation. That is the school system I want to see in this island. That is what I want. I want our Caymanians to be first and foremost. Permits must come on top of that, not the other way around. And I've been preaching that from time long before politics. I saw it when I came back from university, from college. I saw it as a young man in this country. Our people were topped wherever they went, and we should not be second best. Once we are able, willing, and capable, we should be there at the table.
We will make greater investment in the education of students with special needs or disabilities, supporting parents where necessary, and ensuring special needs and teachers are adequately trained.
We must ensure that our elderly are taken care of, and we must enhance their lives. Here again, the Progressive government has been visionary in tabling an older persons policy that values the contribution of those who have helped to bring us to where we are today, and will protect their right to decent, productive lives in their golden years. In this regard, we must respect and acknowledge the inherent value and contributions of our elderly. Ensure that the legislation to support the Older Persons Policy 2016 is developed and implemented. Continue to offer financial support to our elderly people in need and increase it as soon as our financial circumstances allow. Ensure proper access to affordable health care. Support the Pines Retirement Home, Sunrise Cottage, Golden Age Home, and Kirkconnell Rest Home. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight my message is that I am one part of the wheel of a great party machinery that works together for the benefit of all Caymanians.
One of the things I plan to fight for in my community is a community center, a place where our seniors can be dropped off during the day and be left with persons who will take care of them properly, a place where our youth can go and become more involved in wholesome and healthy activities. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the crossroads of a very important election, and I cannot express it enough. Let's not look back. We're looking to the future. We're looking to the future with a solid roadmap for continued progress and prosperity.
The next 4 years will perhaps mark the greatest political and socio-economic shakeup in the history of the Cayman Islands. This is not a normal general election process as you have been used to. For the first time, we'll be electing members to the Legislative Assembly by a one person, one vote. The single-member district of Prospect provides the perfect opportunity for a new partnership between the electorate and the elected representative, a partnership that empowers you, the voter, to have a greater say in the things that matter most to you. This is a new paradigm shift. This reform requires a new approach to how we listen and respond to the people, one that seeks to empower the electorate through the district councils. The electorate reform with the single-member process demands that a new approach on how we listen and respond to the concerns of people, one that seeks to empower the electorate through the district councils. This is what you, the electorate, have said to me.
Each person in this country has to get their due and get what is due them: education, health, a good place to live, a place to prosper.
Over the last 4 years, and as we have moved along to this point, it has been anything but business as usual. This country has experienced a period of improvement and growth, which is business unusual. And why is that important to us? That's important, ladies and gentlemen, because that business community, the ability for them to grow, to expand, that is what supports the economic growth. That is what creates the job opportunities that 2,000 Caymanians over the last 4 years have been able to take advantage of. It is a very important part of the economic equation. And all of those things have very direct, real, meaningful consequences for the people of this country. Whether you're an employee and you have the job and the career that you want, and you're able to have your being and enjoy your families, or whether you're a small business owner, it is all very critical to our success as a country. And if we do not have a strong economy, we are not going to create the opportunities that we want for our people. Ladies and gentlemen, small businesses are a very, very important sector of the economy. One of the reasons is that there are substantially more small businesses than there are the larger ones. There's a general rule of thumb that 70% of the job market is accounted for by small businesses. That is a rule of thumb they use in developed countries, but I think that isn't significantly different here in Cayman. So it is critical to us for a strong business environment which supports all businesses, but also very specifically supports small businesses. And we have done a good job with that, ladies and gentlemen, and we have put in place specific incentives to address small businesses. We in the government have a very clear understanding of the significance and importance of small businesses. And we have created the programs, an incentive and discount program, since about 2014, I think, which runs actually until the end of this year. Why did we do that? Why did we create a program of fee discounts and support for small businesses? I told you a significant element of it, but what we did was when we got into office in 2013, we found a situation where thousands of small businesses were not in compliance, did not have current business licenses. There were years in arrears on their outstanding fees, and at the time, there was a requirement that you had to pay the fees up. That wasn't an option for many of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this government took the view that we needed to create a program which waived those fees, gave them a discount on their fees going forward, and allowed 2,500 small businesses in the last 4 years to take advantage of the program. We have also had 1,000 net new businesses over the same period. Think about these numbers, ladies and gentlemen. 2,500. I know my colleagues and I, going around the communities that we're each contesting, there are many, many of our fellow Caymanians who operate small businesses, even if they're employed elsewhere. Business is a very substantial contributor to opportunities, whether it's employment, whether it's allowing families to have additional income, to do better for themselves, allow their children to go to school, allow themselves to have a better quality of life. It's all very, very important. And we have, ladies and gentlemen, to continue to support them. And that's exactly what this government has done. We've done it in a number of different ways, including the fee discounts I talked about. We did a duty reduction for licensed traders from 22% down to 20%. Even the CUC duty reduction on the fuel that is used to create our electricity, going from 75 cents a gallon down to 25 cents a gallon, that is also a significant benefit. That is also a significant benefit because it is worth to this country, to you all, and to the businesses, everybody that pays bills to CUC, $17 million a year. That's what remains in your pockets. And that has helped, ladies and gentlemen. All of the things we have done have helped significantly. And many, many small businesses thank us, thank me, thank the government on a daily basis for that level of support. And we want that to continue. We want that to improve. We do not want obstacles in the way of our business sector. The financial services industry, another important, significantly important component of our economy and our business sector. They have been completely supported by this government. We have delivered on new legislation, new products, new policies to support them, and we have successfully defended the Cayman Islands locally and internationally from threats against us. And I can tell you it's been my pleasure to work with my Premier, Mr. Alden McLaughlin, the Honorable Alden McLaughlin, and watch him stand on a world stage doing just that too. So we have worked with industry, and we must, that is one of the keys for us to continue to achieve success. That, ladies and gentlemen, has been our path, our formula to success in the financial services industry, and it is going to be our formula for success across the board in this country going forward. Because, ladies and gentlemen, And I'm going to try to shorten this up a little bit. But because, ladies and gentlemen, our plan is to do some very specific things so that businesses have full potential to optimize growth. And that means optimizing opportunities, new jobs, and growth for all of us and our Caymanian children. How are we going to do that? We are going to set up a task force, co-chaired by the minister, and have a business leader, a recognized, significant business leader in the country, as the other chair, working with a broad cross-section of industry representatives across many industries. And we want to seek, ladies and gentlemen, to identify where there are regulations, where there are policies, whether we put them in place or not, which are perhaps not working as intended and are creating potential roadblocks. We are seeking to roll back as much as 25%. If we can do more, we will be doing more. This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the new strategic approach going forward. And we're going to use technology which can address some of the issues, which can substitute for some of the perhaps regulations, but also significantly improve our delivery of services. And we have started that over the last couple of years. That is going to accelerate. We're going to have many of government services online. Huh? Yeah. So whether it's bureaucracy, whatever it is, we are going to find out and work with industry, have them tell us what their experiences are and exactly where we have to target our approach to reduce the impacts on business and to give them the best possible opportunity. Because it is business, it is the private sector, through growth, through expansion, that drives the economic cycle for us, drives government revenues, and creates the opportunities for our Caymanians to be employed. We will be working with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Small Business Association, to implement and further enhance the programs, some of the programs we already started, and vastly improve our level of collaboration with them to facilitate better support, better training, and to help them be successful. Another issue has been access to capital. We have been supporting the Cayman Islands Development Bank from the point where it was on the precipice of failure 4 years ago. We've had to make investments. We've had to bring it back from that position because of bad decisions made in the past with significant borrowing and payouts which ended up being or generating 80% losses for the bank. So we want to use the Cayman Islands Development Bank as a newly capitalized entity to support our businesses, to support not just existing businesses, but possibly also startups as well, to generate cheaper access to capital for these businesses, to give them a much better opportunity of succeeding. That is what we owe our Caymanian business community. And that is what, ladies and gentlemen, we owe our young people who want to become entrepreneurs and who want to start businesses. These are all proven strategies, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of other things going on. You've heard about the infrastructure projects. You've heard about education and our dedication to that and the new investment that we'll be making there. All of that is going to be critical to us. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a part one of the significant reasons that I am so pleased to be here with this team, my fellow progressives, who we wish to go forward for the next 4 years, to finish what we started over the last 4 years. And deliver more for this country in the next 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be my honor to be the representative for my community and the people of Newlands. And I am humbly asking them for their confidence, because this team has demonstrated what it can do. And as a progressive representative, and the only representative that is with a strong team in Newlands, I am the only one that can deliver on what I am promising them.
Change is not what you talk about, change is what you touch. Remember that. Good change is when you drive on the new roads that have just been built by this government. Good change is when you go to Oriya Airport and see the new terminal being built. Good change is when you walk through Charles Kirkconnell Airport in Cayman Brac and see that it has been redeveloped, rebuilt, and voted the best small airport in the region. Good change is when you step on the new 800 plane that Cayman Airways is flying and waiting on their MAX 8s. Good change is when you know that 95% of the people that are flying you and working at Cayman Airways are Caymanian. Good change is when you realize that 2 new hotels have opened in the last 6 months, and we have the highest numbers of tourism visiting our shores for the first 4 months ever. Good change is when you realize that pipe water is being put completely through Cayman Brac from west to east. Good change is when you realize that there's been a 20% increase of arrivals to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Good change is when you look at the sports complex in Cayman Brac and see a new track and a new swimming pool. Good change is when you proudly go into a tourism property and see young people who have been trained in a hospitality school that was opened under our government working in that industry. Good change is when you realize that 60 more Caymanians are driving taxis than were driving them 2 years ago. Good change is when you touch and see and feel an economy that's growing around you. So remember this. Change is what you touch. Change is not talk. Please remember that. And good and positive change is happening starting in this government and will continue because of the people you see on this stage that will form the next government with this manifesto as their guide. I am extremely proud to stand on a stage with people who are bold enough and brave enough and committed enough to put their name behind a plan that we give to the public and say, this is what we'll deliver. And in both of these manifestos, I proudly tell you, there's a lot for Cayman Brac and there's a lot for Little Cayman. Juliana O'Connor, Connolly, and myself are working extremely hard to make sure we deliver on the manifesto that you got tonight.
We have dealt in considerable detail with the issue of safety and security and the need to upskill the police force, to provide them with more resources, to create our own Coast Guard, improve our border control, so that increase community policing, so that we can ensure that there are safer communities in these Cayman Islands for all of us who live and work here. There is much more within the 20 pages that are contained, that make up this manifesto. We urge you all to take the time over the course of the next couple of days to read it. It is presented, I believe, in very clear terms. This is our commitment to you. This is what you can hold us to account for. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no other team, there is no other group of individuals who are standing for election who are going to be able to say to you, if you elect us, this is what we promise to do, and actually mean it. I know the CDP got some kind of thing out there, but they can't get anywhere near the number of persons they need to form a government, so they cannot make the commitment with any seriousness or any credibility. When independents come around and tell you they promise this in terms of education and that in terms of health care, I want you to ask them, or even if you don't ask them, ask yourselves, how can an independent promise me they are going to do anything in terms of government policy? Because unless you have the majority of members in the Legislative Assembly, you cannot effect any government policy. Don't let them fool you with all of these idle promises. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a team to run a government, and we have the team. Promises are the easy bit. Promises are the easy bit. But you have not just a team that is able to make the promises, but you have a team that has a track record of carrying out its promises, because that's what we've done over the course of the last 4 years. Anyone who wants to question it, look at our last manifesto and look at the document, our 4-year report, which we've made generally available, called Delivering on Our Promises. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a proven team with a proven track record, with proven ability. Ladies and gentlemen, do not buy into the rhetoric about change for change's sake. Believe that if we did what we did in the first term, and having laid the successful foundation that is necessary to enable government to have the resources to address the range of social issues which still continue to plague this country, believe us when we tell you that was phase 1, and we are all set, we're all ready to move to phase 2. All we need is your support on the 24th of May to ensure that another Progressives administration leads this country to higher heights. Ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come. Good night. God bless you all.